My name's Chris Gorse. My presentation will be on the future of construction management. In order to address the future of construction management and deal with the most pressing influences, my presentation will include the following: change and the effects on the industry, the size and the nature of the industry, energy, economics and sustainability and their effect on construction, the UK building market, sectors and changes we are likely to see, science of buildings, understanding buildings and controlling them, organisation and governance, education and research, and finally address the question, is there a need for construction management? Change and the industry. The economic and social framework within which the world has previously operated has been shaken, and confidence in trusted leaders has been lost, and we're in a state of change. In recent times, economic and social structures have failed to align to support business development. Fiscal and political policy will change, as it always does, but to revolutionise the country so that it can pay its debt and prosper will mean changes of immense proportion. Similarly, research and education have failed to address real-world issues. Vocational research has not had the desired impact on industry and construction management. Research fails to gain the prominence and eminence which is enjoyed in other engineering fields. During the period of change, opportunity does exist to address the needs of industry and to make an impact on economic, social and environmental needs. Construction is one of the largest industries in the world. In the UK, it employs around 1.5 million people. It has a turnover of over 210 billion and accounts for between 8 to 10% of the GDP. And recent reports have suggested that for every pound invested in capital construction, there's a 2.78 return to the economy. However, the forecast is that in the short term, construction's contribution to the economy will continue to contract at a slightly higher rate than the GDP. It will stabilise during 2010 and 2011, but a real upturn in the market is not predicted until 2013 and 2014. One of the most significant industries in the world is in a period of significant change, and if there was ever a need for a construction manager to manage change and add value, it's now. While we have a moment to position ourselves as economic stability returns, we must recognise that things are going to be different, quite different. Construction management must respond to change and assist society and business. Construction management research must assist change necessary for environmental demands, must influence and adjust to the new financial markets, recognise and develop opportunities for investment in society. And new markets may be surprisingly different. The past structures were insufficient and changes were unstable. So at this pivotal point, previous markets cannot be taken for granted, and even the strongest players must stake their claim. The staple parts of the industry must still be managed, but a serious effort must be made to address growth areas and the pressing needs. Energy, economics and sustainability. No matter which way you look at it, the issue of sustainability is at the fore and is impacting on the industry. Balancing economics while not compromising our future cannot be overlooked. Sustainability must be addressed and managed. Governments will make changes as they have no choice. The graph shows the oil reserves discovered and used during the last 70 years. And even with the more sophisticated technology, our ability to find and tap new reserves has decreased as demand has vastly increased. There has been a recent exponential rise in oil demand. Fuel prices are predicted to increase further. Fossil fuels are almost exhausted. And world population continues to rise, and the associated economics means that developed countries have lost some control, and many developing countries are suffering. The economics of fuel and power are driving change. Increased costs of goods and materials are being driven up as a result of fuel costs. energy costs will change the way we procure goods, design buildings and use them. Alternative sources of energy will be used. Further investment will be made in nuclear power stations and renewables. The current infrastructure, existing and new buildings, must also change to reduce the demand. All will become significant economical and political topics for construction management. With strong government backing, the UK is consolidating its lead in offshore wind energy. We already have more offshore wind energy than any other country. The biggest wind farm in the world is about to start construction, and now we'll see the biggest wind turbine blades in the world being made here in Britain. However, with nuclear energy, the picture is slightly different. Half the current power stations will be decommissioned by 2010, and all but one shut by 2023. To address this, the government has recently released the locations for 20 potential plants. Advancement in construction management will be required to deliver these on time. CO2 deposits. The issue of global warming is escalating. Investment in prototype and more energy efficient buildings will be needed to reduce power demands. The significant rises in CO2 deposits in the ice caps are not disputed. The graph shows a 70% increase in CO2 deposits during the last 50 years when compared to the previous 400,000 years. Global temperature changes are being taken much more seriously. Even if governments do achieve their target by stabilising the temperature at +2 degrees C, more extreme weather conditions are predicted, placing new demands on building design. To achieve zero carbon targets by 2016 and 2019, the construction of domestic and non-domestic buildings will change. Government CO2 abatement policy dictates an 80% reduction by 2050. And as the majority of energy is consumed by existing buildings, the targets for refurbishment will have to be set. Existing buildings consume approximately 30% of the UK energy, and this in turn accounts for 45% of the CO2 emissions.